हाय फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम टू द एनआरआई स्टोरीज। आज हमारे साथ जतिन है। ही केम इन एज अ डेवलपर टू सिंगापुर. ही इज़ बीन हियर सिंस like 8 years now, and he is now one of the directors of the company. It's a very inspiring story. आपको सबको बहुत मज़ा आएगा ये स्टोरी सुन के, एंड आई एम श्योर कहीं ना कहीं इंस्पायर भी करेगा. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट द स्टोरी. हाय जतिन, थैंक्स फॉर कमिंग टू द एनआरआई स्टोरीज. आपके स्टोरी के बारे में बताइए.
ओके, सो स्टोरी काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग है जर्नी. इट स्टार्टेड इन स्मॉल टाउन जामनगर, जहाँ पे इंजीनियरिंग ख़त्म करके हैड मूव टू मुंबई फॉर टू लर्न समथिंग न्यू इन डेवलपमेंट फील्ड. वर्क देयर. आफ्टर वर्किंग देयर थोड़े सालों के बाद इट केम एज एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू विजिट अनदर कंट्री. So yeah, at that time came to Singapore. Earlier it was decided कि एक आध 2 महीने का project है and I have to fly out. So yeah, thought that okay, no harm in flying to different country, getting to know their culture and and I'm very glad that I took that path. I came to Singapore. It actually helped a lot to understand the tradition, उनका रहने का तरीका, whatever they feel day-to-day life, which we cannot assume while staying in India. So yeah, it was a nice journey coming here, surviving. कैसे रहना है, कैसे खाना पीना है, कैसे दोस्तों से मिलना है, क्या अलग तौर तरीके हैं रहने के. It was quite a roller coaster, but yeah, I would say it's a fun roller coaster, and everyone should try at least once in a while to get this experience.
Okay. So you told आप मुंबई में थे and then the opportunity came to you. So is it difficult to come here and start working? How is it so for a person जो नया आएगा सिंगापुर में, और what should he expect? कैसा life होगा यहाँ पे? How the working culture would be? Is it difficult than India? Easier than India? How is it?
Okay, so first of all, as per your question, coming into Singapore, yes, it is quite a big deal while coming into Singapore, because I have understood from many of my friends जो कि try कर रहे हैं, they want to go somewhere, they are planning to come to Singapore, but job मिलना, especially when you are in India, तब job interviews clear करना, वो crack करके they need to come to Singapore. It's quite difficult portion. It's not that easy. Nowadays, world is a global village, but yeah, something, okay, again, this goes to individual level. When you are hiring in India, okay, आपका mindset ये रहता है कि I would hire a person who is available immediately. Same ways when you are hiring in Singapore, हर एक organization का mindset यही रहता है, whenever you are hiring, I would need a person who can, start immediately. So for that particular reason, it is that there are very limited opportunities for the people traveling on site. But yeah, on the other hand, as you mentioned, once you got lucky, you are traveling on site, fitting in the culture of different country is totally different, and it's up to an individual. Because whenever you are trying to fit into any place, be it Jamnagar से मुंबई आना, it was completely different culture. Being मुंबई से दिल्ली जाना, it was completely different culture. And after that, coming to Singapore, it was completely different journey.
So आपने कुछ ना कुछ continuously upskill करते रहा है, because you have come from Jamnagar to Mumbai to Delhi and then from Delhi to Singapore. आपने इतनी सारी cities देखी है. What has been your best part of Singapore up till now in the last 8 years? What would you say कि हाँ सिंगापुर में ये बहुत सही है, I wish ये इंडिया में होता?
Okay, the lifestyle again changes every place, because आप जैसे जामनगर में रह रहे हैं, डेफिनेटली वैसे मुंबई में नहीं रहेंगे. जैसे मुंबई में रहेंगे डेफिनेटली, एंड यू शुड नॉट लिव इन दिल्ली लाइक दैट. सेम वे सिंगापुर का भी जर्नी थोड़ा डिफरेंट है. देर आर सम मेमोरीज जो कि मुंबई में अच्छी है, देर आर सम मेमोरीज जो कि सिंगापुर में अच्छी है. द वे यू वर्क, द वर्क कल्चर, द economical growth, and the culture you feel here, the safe surroundings, is definitely different than India. I would say safe surroundings because it's not that India is not safe. It's just that Singapore at the moment is very stabilized country, and that's why it feels like you know जिनको स्टेबिलिटी ज़्यादा पसंद है उनको सिंगापुर पसंद है, जिनको वॉलेटिलिटी अच्छी लगती है, खासकर इट्स इन नेचर ऑफ इंडियंस दैट नो बडी लाइक्स अ स्ट्रीम लाइन कि एक ही जैसी चीज़ चलती रहती है, that does not entertain them much. People gets bored more often. At that time, Singapore is not that wow for them.
Okay, so just to summarize your answer, India may people tend to have new things again and again coming up in different cities or aspects, but Singapore is always it has a standard of operation, a set of operations. Okay, line में खड़ा रहना है या ये करना है, things will work the way it has supposed to work. It will not change much.
Yeah, actually, हाँ मतलब whenever you compare Singapore with India, that is the first thing people gets in mind. Okay, नहीं नहीं वो countries में rules बहुत ज़्यादा है. But हाँ, what I observed is people in Singapore are very patient. When I'm saying patient means whenever you are boarding the public transports, whenever you are going in the mall, whenever you are buying something, whenever you are just looking around something, every people is not in haste, not in hurry. Now, similarly, as I mentioned, India mein, when you go to Mumbai, you are going on the railway stations or you are going in the markets, sometimes everyone is in haste. मुझे ये काम 1 घंटे का काम 40 मिनट में ख़त्म करना है and I want to go home. That particular life is not there in Singapore. Singapore is very patient. Whenever you are planning something in Singapore, कि boss, I want to go to place X, at that time you plan for everything कि उधर जाने में कितना टाइम लगता है, आने में कितना टाइम लगता है, उधर तुम कितना टाइम रुकोगे, and yeah, it falls into that part.
It's because I think Singapore में the variable things of traffic or something not working as per expectations is not there. India में because there can be variable traffic or something maybe not working और वहाँ पे कुछ हो गया, इसके वजह से you cannot plan that way. सिंगापुर में you know कि हाँ 30 minutes लगने वाली है ट्रेन में और ये हमेशा चलनी है, तो it will always be on time.
Correct.
That's how you can plan ahead. Okay, got your point. So after all these years, are you still happily working in your whatever your work is, or you're working only for maybe a target, a money target, or I have to achieve these things? Is it like making you happy working here कि वहाँ पे भी same काम था, यहाँ पे भी same काम है? It's just that you're getting some extra benefits. What?
Actually not. Okay, so certainly if you are in the same domain and same company, so जैसे कि I was in the same company there and I am in the same company here, so at that time you will feel that it would be same work, but it's not actually. Whenever you are working with a foreign client, working from India is a different thing. Working from Singapore on site, getting to know the client, getting to know the people better, whatever you did in India is at a separate level. I am not saying that whatever you did in India does not mean anything. Whatever you are doing here is a wrapper of what you did in India. So इधर जो काम करते हो, इधर जो what is a relation बनाते हो with people, it is something different. So in my role, I was, as you mentioned, in India, I was a developer. My usual task was to develop things. Here it's more like management, the responsibilities, the directions that organization takes. So yeah, definitely role change is a very big motive that I'm working in Singapore. Apart from that, yes, there are some advantages in Singapore. Won't say after COVID because COVID के बाद every economy has been hit hard. But inflation rate is less in Singapore, so definitely एक advantage है. But why? Again, goes to individual. What do you like?
So if you say inflation rate is less in Singapore, but I think again it's been termed as the most expensive country to live in. If someone from India or someone be it from any part of the world is planning to come to Singapore for work, maybe you can give examples of a single bachelor guy, a guy with his partner, and a guy with a complete family. Should he really think about moving here? If yes, what kind of salaries he should expect so that he can get a comfortable life here?
Okay, so for that particular salary range, if you are asking, there is a nice concept which Singapore government has inbuilt is, they let foreigner work in Singapore only if he is earning enough money. So when you say what salary range is easier to survive in Singapore, so government has taken care of that. Meaning to say, अगर आप एक level से कम salary कोई company offer करती है ना, you will not get the pass to work in Singapore because Singapore has a totally zero beggar scheme in Singapore. So you can work in Singapore only if you are achieving that much salary to be survived. So let's say आपके families है, आपके parents है, so they build a structure in an angle that okay, when a single person coming in, they know that there is no dependent pass to this particular employee, then there is a different salary criteria. So whatever salary, the minimum salary organization can give to that particular person is something that he can survive and save. It's not that he will have to worry about survival instincts. Same way, if the person is a couple, he has one dependent pass along tied with his name, then उनका salary उसी range में होता है. If you are not earning that much, they don't allow for you to bring your dependent. If you are bringing your parents, then your salary range is different. So you cannot bring your parents until unless you are getting enough money to survive in Singapore along with your parents and family. So this is something that government has taken care of. So whenever there is a company reaching out to an employee that okay, there is an opportunity and if you are willing to come to Singapore, more or less what they are offering is in line with this particular thing, and it is in line with what you will use it for survival. The only thing you have to ask yourself is your basic instinct, your lifestyle, that how much you need for different expenses, which are your personal expenses, party karna, private transportation use karna, etc. Again, the comfortable life actually depends on the individual. कोई बंदा ज़्यादा पार्टी करना चाहता है, कोई बंदा अलग शौक रखता है कि नो आई विल गो टू थीम पार्क्स, आई विल गो टू नाइस होटल्स, आई विल गो टू नाइस रिसोर्ट्स एट्सेट्रा. किसी को ट्रैवलिंग का शौक है. सो अगेन डिपेंड्स ऑन द इंडिविजुअल कि उसकी प्रेफरेंसेस क्या क्या है, उसके हिसाब से he or she can plan while coming into Singapore. But what I have observed in this many years is Singapore is costly. Only thing costly here, the major thing costly here is the rent. Given that the shortfall of land currently, जिसके ऊपर Singapore is island, so they cannot build more land over here. So real estate is quite expensive. Right now after COVID, it's super expensive. किसी से आपने सुना भी होगा कि ओके सिंगापुर नहीं, सिंगापुर बहुत महंगा है, लेट्स गो टू थाईलैंड और मलेशिया. बट सिंगापुर महंगा है, मेजर फोकस इज़ ऑन रेंट. आप अगर सिंगापुर आते हो आप होटल में रूम लेते हो, आप सिंगापुर आते हो आप कॉन्डो में रूम लेते हो, आप सिंगापुर आते हैं HDB में घर लेते हैं. ऑब्वियसली वो सबसे बड़ा खर्चा है, वो ही सबसे ज़्यादा एक्सपेंसिव है. इफ़ यू कंपेयर द अदर एक्सपेंसेस वॉट एवर यू do in India, it is somewhat in line. It's not that quite expensive. So जब मैं सिंगापुर आया था तब से लेके आज तक, if I calculate based on the inflation between these 8 years, what I observed is per head just to survive in Singapore, your what do you say, expenses comes around $300-350 a month, not more than that.
Outside of your rent, right?
Outside of your rent. This is just the expenses. Survive करने के लिए, base survival expenses.
Your traveling, public transport traveling, and your maybe groceries.
Yes.
Okay.
So being said that, it's not like everyone will feel the same thing and will say okay नहीं $350, लेकिन मैं ये expect नहीं कर रहा था, because again based on your life, किसी को पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्ट पसंद आता है सिंगापुर में, किसी को जल्दी रहती है, कैब करते हैं, टैक्सी करते हैं, ग्रैब कार बुक करते हैं, कोई पार्टी करता है, कोई रेस्टोरेंट्स में जाता है. दोज आर द एक्स्ट्रा एक्सपेंसेस बेस्ड ऑन योर लाइफ स्टाइल विच यू कैन डू. But just to survive, $350, $400 per head is enough. If you are a party animal, you used to party once in a month, उसका अलग से खर्चा है. If you want to travel quickly, you want to take taxis, you are in what you say, more towards seeing cinemas, going to theme parks, etc. सबकी cost है.
If we break down this cost into like more details for the viewer who are maybe aspiring to come here, let's break down the rent cost. Maybe you can give an example of a 1 BHK condo for one family. HDB is something which government is making. The third option is a studio. So maybe you can give examples of these. Let's add groceries also. Let's reach to a figure आपका monthly expenses for the sake of the viewer benefit.
Okay. So basically in that category, condominium का rent would be higher. One bedder condominium आज की rate में, if you are looking at a nice place inside city where the transportation is nearby, उसका rent around $3,500 के around आता है, $3,500 per month. When you say HDB, which is a government made houses, that particular thing is coming around $2,500 to $3,000 for a one bedder. Obviously, if there are any single people traveling, there is a concept called studio in Singapore, but unfortunately this is available only in condominium, so that also comes near around 2,500 or 2,300, something उस range में. So ये हो गई घर की बात. But there are some other expenses which you will incur, जैसे कि हो गई taxi, as I mentioned. So taxi, one-way taxi, Singapore being a small island, one-way taxi with barely 10-12 kilometers is around $25, $30 or something. कभी कभार party हो गई, so if you go into nice restaurant, you will eat around $40-50 per head something. If you are going to a posh restaurant, sky is the limit. You can have anything. If you are going to MBS, you can have anything. If we talk about medical, because again medical is not a actual kharcha, but it's once in a while expenses which you should cater for, because medical is quite expensive compared to India. So medical ka kharcha, if you have insurance, it is still bearable. If your employer provides, it's a good thing. If your employer does not provide any medical insurance, again, just like restaurant, इधर के medical में भी types रहते हैं. There are some GPs which are general practitioners. You can go there. Some of the GPs are very cheap. Some of the GPs are tied up with a larger clinic chain and will cost more. Health is something that there are some individual preference that how much you want to rely on. Being myself, I can rely on any of the GP, but अगर मैं मेरे बच्चों के बारे में या किसी को एडवाइस देने के टाइम सोचता हूँ, तो it is better that you go with a larger medical chain and all. So yes, medical expenses is quietly larger than India, whatever you feel. So you should put at least $500 to $700 a month aside in case of any medical expenses. I'm not saying you will incur more, because Singapore, the surroundings are very clear. The air is very clear. You will not feel the need of medical, but once in a while, खास करके allergies में, you will need to consult medical specialists.
So if we again go back to our previous question, around 3,000 is the average renting cost. 3,000 to 4,000 depends on where you're staying. And all these other costs like groceries and medical and stuff add another 1,500 to that. So your monthly expenses can reach to 5K acceptable salary, anything above that should be good enough for a couple, or maybe if it's with a baby, add the school expenses as well.
Okay, with a baby, again, there are some individual thought processes going on because as an Indian, we don't let our child in school before certain ages. So, अगर आप बच्चे को घर पे रखते हैं, then and if especially if you guys are working, both mother and father both are working, then you will need some house help. House help is again incurring charges because सिंगापुर में काम वाली बाई का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है. यू हैव टू कीप योर हेल्पर, योर मेड इनसाइड योर होम. सो आपको एजेंसी से लेना है. यू कैन गेट इंडियन मेड्स एज वेल. यू कैन फ्लाई समवन फ्रॉम इंडिया एज वेल. उसके लिए वर्क परमिट करना है. जैसे आपका कोई एम्प्लॉयर है, उस काम वाले के लिए आप उनके एम्प्लॉयर है. सो यू हैव टू टेक केयर अबाउट देयर नीड्स. उनको आपके घर में रखना है. उनको A to Z फूड से लेके सारा चीज़ जैसे आपके घर में जो तौर तरीके से बनते हैं, आपको उसमें उनका पार्ट रखना है, उनका ख्याल रखना है. उनको हर हफ्ते एक छुट्टी या वट एवर इज़ इन योर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एटलीस्ट महीने में 1 या 2 छुट्टी आपको देना है. एंड अगेन इट्स क्वाइट स्ट्रेंज दैट you cannot have Kamwali just straightforward as well. You should be undergoing a questionnaire with MOM that okay, you are ready to be employer to someone who will stay with you. So there are some things which are quite weird in terms of India में हम इतना नहीं सोचते कि अगर कामवाली को काम देना है, आज नहीं जमा, कल ओके ठीक है हम ख़त्म कर सकते हैं.
कॉन्ट्रैक्ट आपको साइन करना पड़ता है आई थिंक. एंड जस्ट वन मोर पॉइंट टू ऐड टू द हाउस हेल्प इज, आई थिंक आपके घर पे एक एक्स्ट्रा रूम भी होना चाहिए हाउस हेल्प के लिए, राइट? दैट्स ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द क्राइटेरिया. यू हैव टू बाय अ बिगर स्पेस रादर देन अ स्मॉल वन.
सो वही जो MOM की ट्रेनिंग है, इट फोकस इज ऑन दैट ओनली कि आपको एक अलग से कमरा उनको देना है, उनको प्राइवेसी देनी है, उनको महीने में 1 से 2 छुट्टी होना चाहिए, वो आपके कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में होना चाहिए. उनको जो पैसा दे रहे हो उसका रिकॉर्ड्स कैसे रखना है, उनको क्या काम बोल सकते हो, क्या काम नहीं बोल सकते, उन पे कैसे ध्यान देना है. वो अगर फ्रस्ट्रेटेड है तो आपको कैसे उनको मोटिवेट करना है. बिकॉज वेन एवर यू कीप योर हेल्पर विद यू एट टाइम ऑफ द वर्क परमिट इश्यूअंस, यू हैव टू गिव अ गारंटी टू MOM दैट आपकी हेल्पर सिंगापुर में कुछ इलीगल काम, इलीगल एक्टिविटीज़ नहीं करेगी. फॉर दैट सिंगापुर MOM नीड्स $5,000 एज अ बॉन्ड. So this comes with the insurance money which you are getting for your helper. So you have to, even if let's say आपके employer आपको insurance नहीं देते, you have to get an insurance for your maid.
Okay, so that's completely different perspective of having the helper. So if you're having a helper, your cushion of that 5K that we talked about, maybe it will go up till 6K or 7K.
Correct. एंड प्लस आपको मेडिकल चीज़ें जैसे कि मेडिकल कॉस्ट ज़्यादा होती है. हेल्पर के लिए अलग से रेंट तो नहीं है, बट मेडिकल चीज़ें आपको उनके लिए भी प्लान करना है कि अगर उसकी तबीयत बिगड़ती है देन यू हैव टू टेक विद एक्चुअल डॉक्टर, यू हैव टू गेट अ ट्रीटेड एंड ऑल. सो इट्स नथिंग दैट ओके कुछ भी हो गया चल गया, ऐसा नहीं होता.
Okay, okay. That's a very good perspective. So, okay. Are you able to save enough that you want to keep living here if these are the kind of expenses that you're having?
Saving is something you actually focus on when you are staying abroad, because if you are not saving enough, there is no point of living abroad. So whenever you plan for a job, you should be thinking that okay, what am I going to save, and if that saving is enough. Saving is a perspective that you can consider, because समथिंग इज़ कॉल्ड सेटिस्फैक्शन. सो ओके, मैं अगर महीने में इतना सेविंग्स कर रहा हूँ, इट इज़ ओके फॉर मी. सो एज ऑफ नाउ इट इज़ ओके फॉर मी एंड आई एम सर्वाइविंग. इफ़ आई हैव एनीथिंग टू बाय इन इंडिया फॉर माई फैमिली और फॉर मी इन फ्यूचर, then of course the savings are lesser. But if I have nothing to buy and if I am saving enough that okay, while old age I would have some money to live in, then I guess saving is enough.
Okay, that's again a very good perspective. जो भी वहाँ से आ रहा है, so if someone is really opting to come to Singapore or be it working at any place, That's a major question that everyone would have कि मैं कितना save करूँगा. Otherwise, only for the experience of working outside, it may sustain for some time, but you will always think of your future and always keep that question of how much I'm saving. Only then you make that decision. So आपने बताया सारे expenses का details, and you told your grocery part is like, or other expenses is a very small number or a very calculated number. But because everyone is saying Singapore is expensive, how to smartly do all your expenses so that you are saving enough? If you can dive in deeper into that and put all your 8 years experience and help everyone to.
Okay, so yeah, that is something where you need to work. आपको सिंगापुर में होना पड़ता है ये सारी चीज़ें समझने के लिए, बिकॉज या एज यू मैंशन, मुझे भी बहुत सारे ऐसे व्हाट इज से फ्रेंड्स बताते हैं, पूछते हैं कि सिंगापुर इज़ क्वाइट एक्सपेंसिव, हाउ डू यू सर्वाइव. तो इट इज़ समथिंग दैट यू नीड टू फिगर आउट. ओके, पहली चीज़ ये है कि वेन एवर यू आर कंपेयरिंग इंडिया विद सिंगापुर, यू आर नॉट कंपेयरिंग इट करेक्टली, बिकॉज आप इंडिया की एक चीज़ को कंपेयर करते सिंगापुर की एक चीज़ के साथ, बट यू आर कंपेयरिंग द चीज़ विच इज़ मेड इन इंडिया. सो लेट्स से एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं, जैसे कि कोई ग्रोसरी आइटम, लेट्स से टाटा नमक. सो टाटा सॉल्ट इज़ अवेलेबल इन सिंगापुर एज वेल. You are comparing that Tata salt is XYZ rupees in India, and you compare that, oh सिंगापुर में तो बहुत महंगा है, $1.5-2 का नमक सिर्फ 1 kg. But you are comparing the Tata salt which is manufactured in India and it is imported in Singapore, so logistic cost ये वो सब लग के obviously उसकी value बढ़ जाएगी. You are not comparing the local groceries whatever is selling in Singapore with your homemade groceries, then it is pointless. If you compare it with the local grocery stores or locally made groceries like Fair Price, 7-Eleven, Giant, so if you take groceries from there instead of your Indian groceries, it would be same. It would still be costly, but not that costly, because यहाँ रहने के बाद बहुत टाइम बाद समझ में आया कि ओके, छोटी सी चीज़ है जैसे कि पैक्ड फूड, मैगी या बॉर्बन बिस्किट या समथिंग. If you get India ki product in Singapore, obviously it would be costly. I have bought Britannia ke bourbon biscuit with 10 rupees MRP at $1.5. Obviously दिमाग में ये आता है कि अरे 10 रुपये की चीज़ का मैं 80 रुपये दे रहा हूँ, is it worth it or not? It is not worth it. But if you consider that okay, Britannia bourbon with fair price के या मेजी के biscuits which is a local produce, then half price difference उतना नहीं है, then you can survive there.
Okay. And so you told FairPrice, Giant, 7-Eleven. Can you name again a couple of more for a cheaper option or a local option compared to India का ही मुझे लेना है?
Okay, certainly. Okay, India का ही अगर तुम्हें लेना है तो yes, there are some options. मुस्तफ़ा मॉल है, ऑल इंडिया सुपरमार्ट है, कार्तिका स्टोर्स एंड ऑल, बहुत सारे चेन्स है. अभी मैं जब भी सिंगापुर आया तभी बहुत लिमिटेड ऑप्शंस थे, बट नाउअडेज you can get each and everything which is there in India and Singapore. But again, it's up to your perspective. You want taste or you want cheaper option. If you are looking for a cheaper surviving options, you have some local options available. जैसे कि okay, apart from saying this, जैसे कि इंडिया की कोई गुजरात की स्पेशल व्हाट इज मिठाई है या फिर कोई स्पेशल डेलिकेसीज है, I can find it easily over here. I can get it from बालाजी की वेफर से लेके सूरत के फाफड़ा जलेबी, everything is available in Singapore. Nothing that I actually missed. Point is कि अगर आप टेस्ट पे जाते हैं कि मुझे भाई वही चीज़ चाहिए, तो you should not look at the expenses. If you want to survive कि नहीं भाई, I am asking a survival question कि मुझे नमक चाहिए, then yeah, you should go with Fair Price, Giant, Shengxiong, वैसे वाली सारे ब्रांड्स.
I think he is breaking एक misconception जो सिंगापुर में सब बोलते हैं it's very expensive. He's giving the right way कि कैसे रहना है यहाँ पे. So I think that's a good learning for everyone who's watching this. Singapore में is it easy to make friends? How friendly are Singaporeans community wise? day-to-day life?
Okay, Singaporean are quite friendly people per se, but एक कंसेप्शन हमारे दिमाग में रहता है व्हेन वी आर कमिंग टू सिंगापुर फॉर वेरी फर्स्ट टाइम, जैसे कि मेरे दिमाग में भी था, हर एक के दिमाग में रहता है कि नई जगह है, वी डोंट नो पीपल, हाउ द पीपल विल रिएक्ट, बिकॉज इन इंडिया जैसे कि हम कहीं पे भी रह लें इंडिया में, इट इज़ नॉट दैट हम उतने फ्रेंडली, ओवर फ्रेंडली नहीं होते कभी, एटलीस्ट एट टाइम ऑफ 2015 जब मैं मुंबई या दिल्ली में था, तभी हम इतने ओवर फ्रेंडली नहीं थे। हम एक टाइम के बाद लोगों को जानते हैं, एक टाइम के बाद फ्रेंडशिप करते हैं। जैसे कि घर के बाहर आते हो, आप अपने नेबर्स को जानते हो, आप नोट करोगे, आप स्माइल करोगे, बट थोड़े दूर जाओगे, उसके बाद आपको नुक्कड़ पे कोई बंदा जो कि अननोन है मिलेगा, आप कुछ नहीं करोगे। वाइस वर्सा इन सिंगापुर व्हाट आई फेल्ट इज़, जो आपको पहचानता नहीं है ना, यू विल स्माइल एट देम, बिकॉज पहले बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ व्हेन आई केम टू सिंगापुर न्यूली, while going to office, people used to nod, people used to smile, everything, because they used to bring different cultures. They used to like different cultures, especially Indian culture, because of the vast heritage and all. I'll give you certain example. जैसे मैं नया ही आया था, I was living alone. I was going to office and it was drizzling somewhere. Now, looking at drizzling, Singaporeans or the local people are, not very fond of rain or sunlight. So अगर थोड़ी सी धूप निकलती है, थोड़ा सा drizzling होता है, they used to open up umbrellas while crossing this. Now, I was working at the place called Changi Business Park, which is a bit far from MRT and it is not sheltered. तो what I was doing is, since it was drizzling, मैं सिग्नल पे वेट कर रहा था, and it was okay that drizzling मुंबई में भी होता है, nobody complains and all. तभी एक nice Singaporean auntie came and asked me, hey, don't you have umbrella? You want to share an umbrella? That was my first impression. Okay, वो आंटी मुझे पहचानती नहीं है, I am unknown to her, she is unknown to me. Still she offered umbrella, that okay, if you want to cross and you want umbrella, we can share an umbrella. So it is something that those are nice people, especially when you have a child in Singapore, a chota sa baby. They love Indian babies. The mentality completely changed after our daughter born. Whenever she is going to her preschool or anything, or she is going to playground, everyone in society knows her now. So earlier there was a day where when we were staying in condominium, security guard हमें पहचानते नहीं थे. So here every condominium has a card access. If you want to go to certain floor, you need to have a card that will open up lift only for your floor. If you forgot your card, you have to reach out to the security desk and say that okay boss, मैं ऊपर रहता हूँ, please खोल दो. So there was an incident when we were as a couple roaming around and we both forgot our cards over there. We asked security guard and he asked the question, how can I believe that you are staying here? मैं आपको जानता नहीं हूँ. Then we had to prove that okay, that is ये हमारा घर है, ऊपर जाके we have the key, we'll open it up, we'll show you the agreement and everything. उन लोगों ने खोल के दिया. Not that they denied anything, but it took a step. But nowadays, after my daughter born, so आजकल whenever you go out of a condo, even if your daughter is not with us, they know that okay, he's daddy of that Indian daughter. So they love it. And today only I came to know that today our security guard gave a gift to my daughter, that okay, this is a Christmas gift for you and all. So they are friendly people.
That's very good to hear. Okay, so when you say your daughter is like so small, do you ever feel कि इंडिया का जो कल्चर है, इंडिया के ग्रास रूट्स वाले जो वैल्यूज़ है, staying so far away from home, कैसे आप उसको दे पाओगे, या how do you explain her the festivals or the culture of India? How isn't that difficult? Does that come to your mind?
It comes naturally. Okay. Again, it's on your individuality, how you are raising your daughter. Because मैंने बहुत सारे फैमिली ऐसे देखे हैं जो कि घर में भी they have a strict rule of speaking English when your daughter is born because you are living in Singapore. But if you want to give your grassroots to your daughter or son whenever you are staying abroad, the simplest thing you can do is you keep your root first. Because in our home, we have a tendency, our home language is Gujarati, no matter what. बहुत लोगों ने ये हमें एडवाइस भी किया, बहुत ने सजेस्ट भी किया कि इफ़ यू आर टॉकिंग इन अ डिफरेंट लैंग्वेज एट होम, योर चाइल्ड इज़ learning different language at preschool or school, she will have difficulty adjusting. But my answer to that is, अगर उसके डैड को डिफ़िकल्टी नहीं हुई थी एडजस्ट करने में तो शी शुड नॉट हैव. सो दैट इज़ अ मेन थिंग यू शुड फोकस. गिवन द कल्चरल डाइवर्सिटी, एक अच्छी चीज़ ये है कि सिंगापुर स्कूल्स आर actually acknowledging all the festivals of India, because I've seen they have a racial harmony day, they have Deepavali functions, even if the in that school nobody is Indian, still they have this.
Very nice.
Last month there was a function for the PG class or something. They had some cultural dance and everything. So all the classes were performing differently. So there was a class where there was no Indian boy or girl. They were dancing on Bole Chudiya. So it's something that you feel like, okay, it's not that it's end of the world. एंड दूसरा सिंगापुर में एक दूसरा बेनिफिट ये भी है कि सिंस इट इज़ नियर टू इंडिया, सिंस इट इज़ एशिया, एंड सिंस इट हैज़ मेजर लोकेलिटी ऑफ इंडियन पीपल इन सिंगापुर, you get the Indian education in Singapore. Just like you get the Indian grocery item, you can get Indian education as well. Singapore has a Gujarati school as well. Singapore has a Delhi public school where you can teach your child to how to, be Indian. There are some Arya Samaj Kendras in Singapore or Isha Kendras in Singapore where you can enroll your child that he or she can learn the roots about it. So it is quite similar to India. I won't say much similar to India because it's not that just like you speak in India, you will have the ability to speak in Singapore. Because we were part of Gujarati society as well in Singapore, and we came to know there are many Gujaratis living in Singapore who does not know Gujarati at all. Even their function were in English and all. So
maybe they kept those functions because the new generation doesn't really connect with Gujarati language to keep everyone connected on English.
It's not just Gujarati. I've seen many people, even from North India or Mumbai or Maharashtra, Pune itself, जो कि when you meet, you know that this guy is Indian. You know his face, his name is Indian name. When you speak and you ask him, okay, buddy, you are from Maharashtra, right? You must be knowing Hindi. No, I was born and brought up in Singapore or UK and I don't know my Hindi or anything. So at that time you ask yourself a question. If you want your child to learn your root, the specification is that you should know your root. So हम लोग भी घर पे जब भी traditionally whatever festivals come, whatever days come, we, even if it is a small celebration, but we do celebrate. We do celebrate now. Again, technology इतनी अच्छी है, you can have a video call to your home, you can be near to your people virtually. तो हाँ, they learn eventually because small kids are great learners. So it's not that you should spend more time, but actually you should spend your language and your ethics to them, because my daughter has started speaking things and the majority she speaks is Gujarati. And it is a relief.
Also, because Singapore is close to India, it just takes 5 to 6 hours to reach your home. So you must be having more trips after your daughter is born.
Yeah, it is true. Singapore is quite nearer. It's not like we are living in US, Canada, where it's difficult to get a flight back home. Singapore is quite nearer. It's easy to get around. So, in that sense of question, you can go home easily. But again, if you go home frequently, it's, you are losing your savings. So yeah, that is something you should plan better.
Okay. Point noted. But that's a very good learning for all the kids parents. Thanks for that. Okay, I think we'll switch to rapid fire, the fun part, but
Fun for you or fun for me?
fun for the viewers.
Okay.
Be rapid in your answers. 3 favorite places of Singapore that you recommend every tourist or even a person living in Singapore should visit in Singapore.
Sentosa, MBS Bayfront, Gardens by the Bay.
Can you be little local?
Okay. Macritchie View Reservoir, Bedok Reservoir, and Changi City Point Mall, because they head to shopping.
Okay, good. 3 things you miss the most about India.
Chart items, traffic
You miss traffic.
sometime, because either you just leave your home, you reach office in 20 minutes, you cannot see an entire episode of a web series, whereas in India, in Mumbai, you can complete the entire movie.
Okay, third.
My school friend, I'm not in touch with anyone, but yeah, still.
Okay, good. Singapore climate versus India climate, which one you like more?
I like more India climate, but up to an extent. I don't like the winters in December. I don't like the hotness in May. Singapore, उस हिसाब से is easy to survive. You can wear same clothes every month.
Okay, nice. Parents living with you in SG or you living with parents in India on the same salary that you're getting right now?
Me living with my parents in India, because it would be more savings if I'm on the same salary.
Okay, smart. 3 things of India that you can get easily in Singapore, which are your favorite?
I can get Fafda Jalebi. I can get Nadia di Chiuda. And I can get Pani Puri.
Proper Jamnagar thi answer આવે છે.
Rapid fire છે.
Indian dish that you would recommend a local person to eat.
Recommend a local person to eat. With dosa.
Okay. Top 3 Singaporean restaurants that you like the most here.
Guzman y Gomez for Mexican. Kasbar for my Arabic thing. And Kailash Parbat for my Indian.
Okay. If we give you like $10,000, but we tell you you don't take a leave and go to India, which one would you choose? Leave of India or $10,000?
I would choose go to India. Why do you want $10,000 in that matter?
Oh, okay, nice. If you've just come from a holiday from India and office is saying, okay, you take 3 more weeks of leave, वापस घर जाओगे या यूरोप या कहीं और घूम के आओगे?
If I'm depends on मैं कितने टाइम में इंडिया से वापस आ रहा हूँ. If I'm already in India for a month, coming back and then again 3 weeks, I'll go to some different place. If I'm coming from India in 2 days, definitely I'll go back to India.
Top 3 cities that you still want to live in or you want to experience living in?
Okay, Zurich, Switzerland, Berlin, Germany, Auckland, New Zealand.
Okay. Not Singapore?
Singapore I've been now. So I'll go and look another country.
Still go for a new experience. Okay, good. 3 things someone coming new to Singapore should bring along with them.
Open mind. More or less $100, $200 in pocket, because he has to reach to a destination. And lots of homemade food if they are coming for the first time.
Okay. One thing that you always carry back while leaving from Singapore to India, but सबके लिए कुछ gifts या you can tell me 2-3 things also.
Chocolates, clothes, and some perfumes.
3 things that you bring from India when you're coming to Singapore every time you visit there.
From India, I get more Indian delicacies, all the farsan. I bring clothes from India, and I bring some nice homemade sweets from my in-laws and my home in India.
Okay, nice. Last question. For a tourist who is coming to Singapore, from where should he shop and what are the things which are expensive in India, cheaper in Singapore that he should carry along?
There are many things like whatever foreign produce coming in Singapore has a less custom duty. So if you are a fan of foreign made shoes or foreign made gadgets, you should shop in Singapore. For the shopping, you can either go to Mustafa. There are some popular bookstore stores in Singapore, which once in a while gives a good offer. There are some if you are into children toys or ladies accessories or stuffed toys, Green Party is a good chain, I heard. And there are some Japanese stores like Daiso and Miniso. You should visit that sometime.
What are some of the misconceptions of Singaporeans or living in Singapore जो मे बी बाकी इंडिया में लगता है या बाकी वर्ल्ड में लगता है?
Okay, the main misconceptions I have heard from Indian people for Singapore is Singapore is well managed because it is small. It is actually not the case, because if you are a small country, you have bigger questions, you have larger issues to deal with. India के पास manpower है, Singapore does not have their own manpower. It is the way that the government is navigating, that's why it is managed. It is the way that people behaving, that's why it is managed. अगर let's say Singaporean people को इंडिया में रख दो, then still they would be that much patient people. They would still follow the rules and regulation, the lines as they are following here. The second misconception I can think of is that the people in India or the rest of the world think that Singapore is overly priced. It is not worth in Singapore because everything is so pricely. It is the way that you live in any of the country. अगर आप इंडिया में भी रहते हो, you purchase anything from local, I'm sure there are many shops, many online platforms which will give you things cheaperly. Same way in Singapore also, it is that just a matter of time. आप कहाँ से shop करते हो, कहाँ से चीज़ें लेते हो, it will matter. Now, as I mentioned in my earlier answers, that if you are comparing a product from India with product of Singapore, you should compare it at very much similar level. You cannot compare it that okay, मैं इंडिया में चाट खाता हूँ from normal vendor and रेडी से चाट खाता हूँ, and I'm asking for a pani puri in costly restaurant in Singapore, and I can say, oh, pani puri इधर इतना सस्ता है, इधर बहुत महंगा है. But if you compare this thing with a restaurant in India, actually it is more or less similar. So whenever you are comparing, you should compare on a similar grounds. If you are comparing a product from India, you should compare it with product of Singapore. So that is something that there is, highly misunderstood topic for Indians. Yeah, there are some things where Singapore is actually expensive, like medical, the transportation, the private transportation, and the public transportation as well. If you compare it with public transportation in India, it is way more costlier. But again, the services that provided in Singapore are way more unique in nature. You cannot expect Indian bus or Indian train to behave like Singaporean's metro. So it is something that, totally a different question. That's why it is totally a different rate. It is something that you want to buy a Mercedes and compare it with Ford. It is never going to be, at the same stage. Singapore does not have their own waters. Still, I have seen there are many, water sculptures, and the drinking water is free in Singapore. Rather than if you go to Malaysia from where Singapore is importing the water, it is not free there.
Okay. To add to that, there's a desalination plant over here, multiple desalination plants. हम जो भी पानी पीते हैं, नल से पीते हैं, वो government guarantee देती है, it's pure. So, and whatever water is wasted, it is never thrown out. It is always filtered back because they value it, they don't have it. वो value ज़्यादा करते हैं उसकी, वो वापस वही पानी filter होके वापस आता है. One more question. You being a director, you must be recruiting a lot of people. What is the one thing that you look for someone who's giving an interview for a Singaporean company?
How open is that person to survive in different countries? Because many people have already an instinct that I won't go to this country because sabne bola Singapore boring hai. Then I don't like to have that person onboarded. because he is making a judgment.
Any other skill sets?
Skill set wise, see, again, being in management, I can see the things now, that there is nothing that there is a developer who is doing fantastic things, and I will need him, otherwise company won't stop with anyone. Even with me not being in a company will suffer, but it will not stop. So it is something that you should look for, the way the person works in your company, the way that person joins the team, the way that person communicates between the teams.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Cut.
Final cut.